7:30ish, 7:32, apologies. So, live. Hello, how are we all doing? What's everybody up to? Is anybody out there up at Melbourne? If so, how's the weather? Because I think we've actually got away without it raining today, but it's been crap. Other than that, it's cloudy and not at all summery, which seems to be the hallmark of most of the year so far, or most of the summer so far. Yeah, other than street weekend was glorious, and since then it's all been a bit downhill. In fact, the street weekend was going to be the reason why there was no live last night, because Santa Pod released their feature-length street weekend video, courtesy of Box Lane Productions. That went live on YouTube at 8 p.m. last night, and I thought, right, I'm going to watch that until I remembered that I'd arranged to go out with me mate Ed. But hey ho, and I still haven't watched it. I've watched about the first 17 minutes, so I've still got that to look forward to this weekend. So, talking about this weekend, what are you doing? Hi Rob, how's it going, mate? How's things? What are you up to? Yeah, so it's been a vaguely busy old week. That was the chair creaking, I promise. What did I do today? Yes, one thing that I did do today is I saw a set of tyres up on eBay that would fit the Mustang. Reasonable price, very good brand. And hi Al, how you doing, mate? You all right? What are you up to? Everything all sorted? You weren't out at the Mopars, were you? No. Martin, hello. Off on holidays this weekend after the busyness of Weekend of Wheels last weekend. Oh, so you need a... Now, you see, most people go to shows for a relaxing, fun time. You need a holiday to get over the relaxing, fun time. I can get that. Well, it was a good little bash, though, wasn't it? It was a nice little show. Autumnal, yes, indeed. Autumnal is definitely the word. Yeah, it's been a trifle nippy, and if there's one thing I really don't like, it's nippy trifles. So, yeah, so anyway, I saw these tyres, and somebody had sneaked their phone number into the last photo of the reel of photos. So I started typing it into my phone, and it came up with somebody's name. It turns out I've known him for years, and he's fairly local. So this morning I went to go and see him, and I bought his tyres from him. With a bit of luck, tomorrow I shall apply those tyres to the Mustang's rims, and bibbity bobbity boo, we should be all right. And with a bit of luck, evening Biff, how you doing, matey? How's things with you? All good? And with a bit of luck, maybe I shall possibly be off up to Melbourne on Sunday. Not going to make a weekend of it because, well, let's start with last weekend. I took the Mustang out. Like I said, I decided that after all that faff and fanny on to get the Mustang ready for street weekend, and it completing street weekend, and then upon its return home it got parked under the tree from whence I dragged it, and it stayed there since June the 18th. Well, that's like, what, 6 weeks? And I thought, that's crap. I didn't go to all that fuss and faff and tax, insure and MOT it just to drive it for one weekend. Although I did remember to have a quick look at the odometer, and it turns out I'd done 644 miles in those 3 days, and all of them were fun, except for the blowout on the M1 bit, which wasn't so much fun, but still. Hopefully I've addressed that now with these new tyres. So, yeah, I thought, we'll take it out. There's a nice little show on not far from me, the Weekend of Wheels, as got mentioned a minute ago. Yep, things are great. Fly to Detroit, of course. Yes, you're off on visiting family, and it just so happens that at the time and place you're visiting this family is, was it Woodward Avenue Dream Week? Is it Woodward Avenue Dream Cruise? Wow. Oh, blam, I'm sure you've made that mistake before, haven't you? But yeah, that sounds fantastic. I hope you have a lovely time, although I don't see how you could fail to do so. So yeah, have a great time in Detroit. Are you going anywhere other than the Dream Cruise? And I don't know why you'd want to. Sounds wonderful. So yes, so on Sunday, just gone, went up to Weekend of Wheels at Moor Green, sort of Nottingham way. And it was a really, really good little show, but it's one of them days where you have a shower of rain, and the shower of rain lasts 5 minutes. So you put your coat on, you go for a wander around. 5 minutes later, the rain stops, sun comes out, and you think, oh, bloody hell, I'm going to put this coat back in the car. And then 20 minutes later, it rains again, and it was like that all bloody day. And it was it was windy, and it really was, as Chris said, autumnal. And there was some poor bugger who had a trade stand there, and it blew away. And you think, oh, for God's sake, it's July. You'd think you'd be safe having a nice summery car show in July, but no. However, the show was good. People seemed to be enjoying it, and on the Saturday they had a fly past from the Lancaster bomber. And wow, that is cool. And apparently it was low. You could have spit at it. Not sure why you'd want to, but you could have. Truck is going to the tuners to get the trigger wheel sorted. Ah, right, nice one. And a check of all wiring, making sure there's nothing else we may have missed. Brilliant. So all hopefully be good for the Euros. Are you doing the Euros? What a coincidence, I said. I know, it's uncanny. Actually, no, it's completely canny. You utterly rumbled. But yes, a couple of days in a cabin on Mackinac Island. Nice. Trip to Chicago. Cool. We'll get a pizza. A couple of days in Washington, D.C. Oh, so you're doing the whole tourist trail thing, are you? No, that'll be really cool. I envy you a great deal. And I can't imagine you won't be bringing car parts home in a suitcase. Oh, shh, sorry. Oh, definitely for the Euros. Brilliant. Nice one. Yeah, so that was what we did on Sunday. It was, like I said, it was really nice. And there were some really nice cars there as well. And they had like live music on, and there was a young lass singing with a guitar at one point, and then the local sort of online radio station took over, and then was it Acacia Radio? Acacia Radio took over, and then yeah, they had a live band on whose name escapes me. A proper sort of rockabilly band. Midnight Shift, something like that. Midnight Shift, was that right? Hey Lee, how you doing, matey? How's things? And yeah, they're bloody good. And yeah, and it was a really cool little show. And I thought, in overall, just a sort of show in a field with lots of things going on around the edge, it had a whiff of billing about it. And I thought, who really picked up the slack after the American Auto Club stopped doing the shows at Billing? The American shows, because there used to be a lot of kind of specifically American shows, like I said, Billing and Americana, which is sort of is that back on? Is it? I don't know. So Washington DC has an excellent hardcore scene. I hope you're talking about music. Yeah, so really good little show, and I thought, because the thing is with Billing, I mean the problem with Billing was I've been there at their sort of summer nationals when it's been the hottest weekend of the year, and it was 36 degrees, and it was actually too hot to be out in the sun. So you had all these beautiful cars baking in the sun, and everybody else sort of hiding under the trees going, fanning themselves with their own socks and stuff. And yeah, and I've also been there when the only thing on the show field was a lifted Jeep towing a couple of lilos full of kids across a couple of inches of standing water on the show field. So, well, exactly, Lee. Yes, that's the thing. I mean, because somebody did tell me, I don't know if it's true, but it sounds plausible enough. There's a little river running alongside Billing. is it the Dart or something like that? And basically, Billing Aquadrome is Northampton's floodplain. So if the River Dart gets ideas above its station, instead of flooding Northampton, it floods Billing Aquadrome. So consequently, when it rained, it got really marshy. But there we go. Anyway, so yes, this place in Moor Green for Weekend of Wheels, that was a much better sort of. It was on a slight slope for a start, so all the water buggers off. But yeah, it was a nice little venue, and I thought this could be something special. Unfortunately, it was probably also the busiest weekend of the year, because on the same weekend you had, well, what did we have? You had the Mopars, at Bisley, the Hot Rod. What was the Hot Rod event on Bisley? Bloody hell! Anyway, we had that. And there was the one in Worthing, Sunny Sunday, and there was Rally of the Giants, and loads of other things happening on the same weekend. Hayride, that's it, the Hot Rod Hayride. And did anybody go to the Hayride? I know quite a few people who went to Santa Pod for the Mopars. Again, a big chunk of that got rained off, damn it. And one of the things that I was most pleased to see was the not nostalgia super stock. It was the sort of outlaw super stock for the cars that should run in super stock but don't quite hit the rules. Because I mean, I'm sure nostalgia super stock says no back half cars, and various other restrictions on modification. So yeah, the sort of the outlaw super stock thing. Was it super stock eliminator? Yes. Was for the cars that didn't quite niche into the rules of nostalgia superstock, and there were some bloody nice cars in there, and it wasn't a round of street eliminator, but they did have a sort of an audition, if you like. It was a street eliminator tryout where it was open to all comers who could run faster than 13.5 in the quarter. And you could go out and do the qualifying runs, and if you qualified, they'd put you on a demo ladder, if you like, because of course this was all completely unofficial. And then you had to go out and do the Saturday evening cruise, and then you were in the eliminator for Sunday. And loads of people said they tried it and really liked it. There was guys from Taz Racing there. There were. Who else was there? And I thought that car is well overdue a trip. There was Russ Pursley was there with a Dutton. Derek Beck was in it with the TVR, and you think, yeah, all of these cars could really come out and play. And yes, my friends Vicky and Pete were there with their Buick, which is it's awesome. And yeah, they having done, I think it was a 9.3. PB in testing a week or two previously, they whittled that down to an 8.5 in the Street Eliminator tryouts, and I believe they will be coming out in Street Eliminator very soon. There's only a couple of things left to do to the car to make it fit the rules. One of which is a passenger seat. I don't think there's any problem with fitting a passenger seat. I don't think he's got like a proper funny. Well, he does have a funny car style cage, but not one that precludes fitting a passenger seat. So that's one of them. And I think they were also shy of something else. It may have been a handbrake or something like that. But either way, I really want to see that coming out, because that is going to be a top half car. You know, top half of the ladder car, right from the word go. And I'm talking of top half of the ladder cars. I don't know if you've checked on this YouTube channel. On Monday or Tuesday, I posted a little walk around I got to do with Mark Sheridan. And if you haven't seen that Cuda, if you've seen Carl Cox, who came over for Bug Jam and stayed for some testing, if you've seen his 71 Cuda Pro Mod, there's not a massive gulf of difference between the two. I tell you, between Mark Sheridan's Street Eliminator Cuda and Carl Cox's Pro Mod one. So yeah, if you've seen one, you can picture the other. So what else is going on? Well, that was the weekend. A bloody busy one it was too. Sounded like one of my cars. The since then I've done. Oh yes, on Monday I had to take the Fiesta in for its retest. The unpaid intern mobile, which we've done. We got about over a year ago. I think it was like about 14, 15, 16 months ago, and I finally got it ready for its MOT. Took it long for its MOT, and the only thing it failed on, well, it failed on windscreen wipers. Yeah, even I managed to tackle them. But it also failed on back brakes, putting in almost zero effort, which pissed me off because we changed the whole rear beam, the whole rear subframe, wholesale, put a new rear subframe in it, and then it turns out, after the nightmare of bloody bleeding them up, those brakes were just putting in almost zero effort, and they couldn't be seized. So anyway, I took the drums apart, cleaned all the drums, cleaned the shoes, put new wheel cylinders in, popped it all back together. Oh, and adjusted the handbrake. You can't externally adjust the handbrake. And in order to take the drum off, the drum comes off with the hub. So to get the drum off, you undo the big sort of hub nut in the middle and take the lot off. So it's not like you can. So you have to take the drum off, twiddle, and if you need to manually adjust the brakes, because the auto adjusters are so reliable, twiddle, 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 put the whole arrangement back on. No, that's still a bit bloody loose. Back it up, twiddle, twiddle again. Oh, gee, it took about half an hour each side. But on Monday, retest, passed, happy days. So that is now the fourth car I know that lives out here that is MOT'd. It's not yet taxed or insured. So, well, in between then and now, yesterday in fact, when it wasn't going to rain, I took the van down to the workshop because while I was doing the Fiesta rear brakes, I thought this van sort of got an advisory on the rear brakes at the last MOT, mainly because a leaking hub seal was filling the bloody drum with diff oil, which doesn't help your braking effort. So what I'd done is, in order to get the van through its MOT, well, it failed on that. In order to get the van through its MOT, I'd taken the drum off, got a blowtorch, burnt all the oil off everything, which took a while, and smells, because, the sulphur in gear oil, yummy. Tied a child's sock around the hub behind the oil seal, because it's fully floating half shafts in there. Cable tied it in place, put the drum back on, quickly took it for its MOT retest, and it passed. It still didn't exactly bend the needles on the rollers, but it passed. However, I thought, shite, that was like last September, end of September, beginning of October. I really probably should actually address this issue, especially as I bought all the parts to do the job last year. So I thought I'd better actually finally do it, because the brakes on that thing are shocking. So I took it down there, took the half shaft out, which is a bizarre arrangement. I've not had to deal with a sort of a floating axle before. So yeah, took the half shaft out, off we go. Took the drum off, took the drum off, half shaft out, hub off, which requires, as I said before, a 55mm. Got to keep those brake shoes lubricated. Well, yeah, you get a lot more miles out of them if you keep them soaked in oil, I find. Or until you run into a bridge support or something. In which case, not so many more miles. But, and like I say, that van's brakes were classified as effing frightening from the factory, and the intervening 25 years have not been kind. So it needs all the help it can get. and replace to get the hub nut off is a 55mm socket. Now, of course, I haven't got one. Nobody else seems to have one. So I had to go down Millennium Bearing, which is the local sort of bearings and tractor parts place. And the only 55mm socket they had was, at a friendly discount, 36 quid. And 3/4 inch drive. It's a bloody good job I had. The van came with a 3/4 inch breaker bar instead of a wheel brace, so fortunately I had a 3/4 inch bar. Knocked the bendy over, well, the locking tab washer. I had to knock that over, take the top nut off, take the locking washer out, take the bottom nut off. And found out that the last person who removed that, for whatever reason, I know somebody had been in there, because the whole thing is full of fecking silicon sealant everywhere. And they had clearly removed the wheel nut the hub nut previously with a chisel. Bless them. But one part of me was like, what a clumsy arse. Who the hell removed that with a chisel? And another part of my head was thinking, I wish I'd thought of that. I could have saved myself 36 quid, just clubbed it with a chisel. So, yeah, did that. Then found that the wheel cylinders were leaking. And I'm damned if I'm going to put brand new shoes in with leaky wheel cylinders. Although the level in the master cylinder hasn't dropped 1mm. So, but anyway. I have some new wheel cylinders waiting for me, because I spoke to my buddy Ben in the next unit, and he says, I'd call the local car spares place useless. No, we haven't got them. No, we can't get them, feck off. So I said, where do you go? He says, oh, car spares Tamworth. Right, okay. So I called them, and they said, right, there's 2 different cylinders listed for that van, and it's all according to the diameter of the pistons in the slave cylinder. At the time I hadn't got the old ones out, so I said, do you have both of them? And do you have a pair of both? And he says, no, neither, but I can get them for tomorrow morning. Great. I said, do you do delivery? I'm at the same place as this guy and that guy, who both have accounts with you. They're literally feet from my unit. So, yeah, I'm not asking you to deliver to the middle of nowhere. Oh, no, he says, we don't deliver to random people. Okay, I'm not random. I'm just told you who my neighbours are, both of whom have accounts with you. No, we'll only deliver to you if you've got an account. That's right, just get them in if you would. And I told Ben, who said, hold on a minute. He phoned them up, and he said, you know those wheel cylinders you're getting for this LDV? Yeah. Put them on my account and deliver them to me. So they've done that, and I'll just find out which ones I need, buy them off Ben, and then he can return the others. What's the joke car today? My LDV, possibly. It was Skoda, wasn't it, back in the 80s? Was it really a joke car, or was that just cheap material for Jasper Carrot? Either way, they've rebranded themselves beautifully, haven't they? They've done a grand job of that. But yeah, who is it now? I don't know. I think they're all so massively insignificant that none of them stands out in a positive or negative way. I don't know. Thank you. So, the Tesla, I don't know. Well, I think any electric car is apt to be... I think there's going to come a point soon where there's going to be a massive sort of revolution in... basically, I think current crop of electric cars are basically the Betamax of cars, and that pretty soon they're going to find themselves very obsolete, and everybody's sort of going, well, yes, those are strange times. So yeah, it could be any electric vehicle, but I don't know. Time will tell. Um, I had an 86 Skoda Estelle. Yes, it was cheaply built with cheap materials. Well, yeah, quite. But the thing is, they were cheap cars. Skodas, Ladas, FSO, which were Ladas, by any other name. They were all cheap cars. And, yeah, so people take the piss because they're poverty spec motors, but they did the job, by and large. Hey, anyway. Oh, excuse me. So, talking of cheap cars, riding high on my, riding my luck. What, Morris? That's not what I said. I said riding my luck. Jesus. I thought that I'd book my Chrysler in for an MOT, so I took that for its MOT this morning. I did not have high hopes. This was basically a sort of a preemptive MOT, if you like, a speculative MOT. Rata Ross's latest video, he bought a bargain Tesla for £7,000. A Tesla for £7,000? Bloody hell. I thought they were like 50 to 100 grand new, and they can't be that old. Not old enough to have depreciated by that much. Well, what do I know? But there you go, batteries packed up, 17 grand to replace, and that's why I'm not going to buy one. That's why I'm going to stick to my three-figure cars. Yes, so I took the Chrysler, which has sat around since basically lockdown 2020. It was parked up since then. The guy who owned it started it up occasionally, would maybe move it backwards and forwards, and that's about it. I bought it and drove it onto a trailer, which I think was the furthest it's been in a long time. Brung it home, give it a jet wash on the way because it was absolutely minging. Drove it off the trailer and onto my drive. That was then the furthest it had driven in some years, which was about 70 foot. And there it sat for a couple of months. I had to fix that problem with the gear lever. If you know the 300Cs, there's a little plastic ratchety sort of pawl thing that, yeah, I do apologise on the state of my hand, that it means that when the gear lever's in park, it won't come out again unless the key's in the ignition. When you turn the key in the ignition, you can take it out of park. And I had to fix that. That brake, the spring thing breaks off it, which locks the gear lever in park until the end of time, until you take it apart, sort it out. So I sorted that out using a cable tie. The little hook on top of the pawl that holds that you hook the spring onto had snapped off. So let's put a cable tie around it, hook the spring to that. Happy days, it works. I thought I'd best. Yes, they did some good sort of aerodynamic shaped stuff as well. They did some proper sort of teardrop shaped, well, egg shaped, depending on more teardrop. Yeah, they did some really interesting shapes. Hey Attila, how you doing, matey? We were talking about your bash earlier. Yeah, so this Chrysler, so I thought I'd better book it in for an MOT. Like I say, it hasn't driven further than 70 foot in a number of years. So this morning I drove it to the MOT station, which is about, well, actually I kind of went the long way around, so it's about 2 miles. I thought, my God, this isn't making much effort. It's really sluggish. However, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 warning lights on the dashboard. That's never a good sign. But I did know about them. So get to the MOT station. Tony, the MOT tester, who doesn't take any shit, says, right, switch the side lights on. He says, for fuck's sake, Dave, he says, one of your side lights is out. Right, when job one is, the side lights is a fail. I said, look, I wasn't expecting a pass. I just want to know what's wrong with it. And if I get a laundry list, I ain't bothering. And if that side light is the beginning of the end of the fail sheet, happy days. Anyway, we went through the whole thing. The wipers disintegrated on the way there when I tried to wash a bird shite off the windscreen. the rubber blade just peeled off and pissed off over a hedge. So all I'd succeeded in doing was smearing this shite across the screen so I couldn't see anything. Yeah, got to the MOT station. Yeah. And the next, what was it? You know, the horn indicators, everything else, all the other lights worked. He says, the headlamps, the auto levelling headlamps, he says, aren't auto levelling. They're stuck pointing upwards. Now, they're tied into the self-levelling suspension. Oh, good, because I didn't know it had self-levelling suspension, but apparently it does. And these, you got these sort of rheostats to you know, so when the car's down on its suspension, it'll level itself and then adjust the headlamps to suit. Except that it's not doing so. So, oh, good, right. I've got to fix something that I didn't know the car had. Then he puts them on the brake rollers. All the brakes are seized on. So there was me thinking, my God, this car isn't making much effort. It is. It's making far more effort than it needs to because all the brakes are seized on. Let's put it this way. The front brakes registered more force without the pedal being touched than the back brakes on the Fiesta registered with 2 feet on the anchors. So there we go. And that coupled with the fact that all the ABS lights are on. There's a trio of ABS lights. And people in the sort of the owners' circles call them the three amigos, because when they all come on together, it means that your ABS sensors and tone rings have gone for a shite. The tone ring is a little thing in a little ring, as you might imagine. No, put it away, God. The little ring in this case is on the back of the hub, and it's called a tone ring, and I'm not really sure why. Because if it was like a flying magnet or an optical thing, I could see its point. But a tone ring? Is it whistles? I don't know. Anyway, they're made of steel. So when you leave your car parked up for a couple of years, they rust. And when you move the car, the sensor goes, no, that doesn't make any sense. Blink, go all the lights on the dash. So I got him to plug in his diagnostic jobby. Yes, he's got all this snap-on solar. Ooh, oh, it's ever so clever. So he plugs that in, and the fault code that comes up is U140E, which basically says there's a problem. We're not going to tell you what it is, but there's a problem with your ABS. It doesn't narrow it down any more than that. That is your lot. So that was really helpful. I knew there was a problem with the ABS. That's why all the brakes are jammed on and there's 3 bloody warning lights on my dashboard. So thanks. And what else did it fail on? Track rod ends. I kind of knew about them anyway. So yeah. Oh, and he cleared the engine management light and whatnot off the dash and it hasn't come back on again. But that was something to do with the turbo actuator, which apparently is quite common. And there's something to do with the EGR as well, which apparently is also quite common if you've left the car to stand for a few years. So I'm not too sure exactly what to do. Should I dive into this and try and sort it all out? Or should I just cut my losses and punt it on? I don't know. Either way, it's all good fun, isn't it? So yeah. So, on the way back, on the way there, because like the engine management light was on, it was in limp mode. It wouldn't go above 35 miles an hour. So combine that with the fact that all the brakes were jammed on, the trip to the MOT station was a bit fraught. However, the way back, with limp mode no longer being an issue, I gave it a bootful. And with all the brakes dragging, it was still a good deal sprightlier than my other Mercedes, my C-Class. Now bear in mind that if I can sit from this window, I can see the 2 cars, they're parked next to each other. And the 300C is so much bigger than the C-Class. It's a huge car. It's got to be 2 ton. So the fact that it is still sprightlier than the little 1.8 Mercedes, even with all the brakes dragging, makes me think it should be a damn fine ride. So it's a damn fine ride. Yes. What? Not talking about you. Stop it. Back in your cupboard. So there you go. So today I went to pick up some tyres for the Mustang. In fact, all I've done is hand out cash for various jobs and things on cars recently, to the extent that I haven't got much of it left. Tomorrow, like I say, I'm going to do the brakes on the van, put tyres on the Mustang, and from that point I shall try and figure out. Oh, and hopefully on Sunday, might be going up to Melbourne. I know I was sort of toying with the idea of going up for the whole weekend, but frankly, the weather forecast for tomorrow looks balls, and I'm not. It was, yeah, it's based on the E-Class Mercedes, as is the engine, transmission, and all the running gear. So yeah, going up to Melbourne tomorrow. I mean, it'd be good to see all my mates and sit around and have a beer, but when you've gone up to the drag strip and all you do for the duration of the time you should have been racing is watch the rain bounce off the pits, that kind of gets you down, especially as the trailer tent has kind of outlived its waterproofness. It's yes, as wet as Joey Deacon's chin in there, and yeah, that's not good enough. So that, and I think we can only go up there for the day because me and the missus were going, and we're going to take the dog, but can't. The dog doesn't like the Mercedes, which is quiet and comfortable. He really will not like the Mustang, which is noisy, uncomfortable, and smells. So yeah, he won't like that. So yeah, I think we're just going to bob up there for the day on Sunday. Again, it'd be nice to give the Mustang a run out. It'd be good to see all my mates. And yeah, if you know, it's one of these at the moment. If you think a day's going to be dry, bloody use it. Because like I say, I've got to go down there, workshop tomorrow, and work outside on the van in the rain. And I'm really looking forward to it. You might be able to tell. So there we go. What else is happening? Whatever you're up to, please do tell me. Because like I say, you now know all my business. So it's I'd like to hear yours. What are you up to? What are you doing? Have you got any plans for this week? Motor vehicle style of plans. If you're going to get your arse waxed, I don't want to know. But if you're going to a car show or something, do tell. Yeah, there we go. Like I say, you know all my business now, whether you want it to or not. I've bought the new project vehicle. Have you bought the house for your quad cam V8? Your Ford, is it a 5.4? Or is it the Cobra-y sort of 4.6? What is that motor? And what have you bought for it to go into? Do share. Relaxing this weekend? I'm not surprised. You put enough work in. Mind you, haven't you got another show coming up in like a week or two? There's somebody putting a Mercedes V8 in a Mark II Capri, and it's like if it's. I'll tell you what, Mercedes V8s, nobody seems asked for them. No, it's like BMW V8s. No, the whole Hot Rod bunch don't seem to have taken to them at all. Now, I've seen a handful of 1UZ Toyota V8 powered rods and drag cars and whatnot, but nothing really with a Mercedes V8. I'm sure I saw a Mercedes V8 powered trike at a show once. Other than that, Mercedes and BMW stuff, V8s, no, not so much. I don't know why. Because they're comparatively cheap. You don't have so it is the yeah, that is the Cobra motor then, basically, isn't it? And just one day that's it, Miners Welfare type place, 20th of August, Jacksdale. There you go, 20th of August. If you got nothing on, that is the weekend prior to Bank Holiday weekend, if that helps. Biff has started on the revamp of the Transit, changed the front seats at the moment so I can walk. Right. That's it, because Was it a Transit with sort of like a single driver's seat and a double passenger seat? And you change it to a single passenger seat so you can walk through. Whoever converted the LDV just took the double passenger seat out wholesale, put it in the back. So yeah, it's like directly behind the drivers there's the cubicle for the bog, and on the other wall of that cubicle is the double passenger seat facing backwards. So if you do take passengers anywhere, they have to sit like 10 feet behind you facing the other way, and conversation is impossible. Sometimes that's a bonus, sometimes it's not. If YouTube is to be believed, it's Cobra engine. Isn't quite the same. Well, sorry. The Cobra was also the Ford 4.632 valve V8, wasn't it? I'm sure there are detailed differences. Because did yours come out of a Lincoln or something, a Lincoln Town Car or whatever? Was it Lincoln or was it a Mark 8? Anyway, so it may have been slightly detuned, but probably not much. It's Cobra engine. Lincoln Mark 8, that's it. I'm sure I saw an advert somewhere for a later Lincoln Continental, and it was a V8. I don't think it was a 4.6. I think it might have been a 5.4 or something bonkers like that. Front wheel drive. And I thought, that is a massive old boat for that. Yeah, that's right. I went to the scrapyard last weekend for a single seat base. £8.60. It was a tenner, but I found £1.40 while I'm bolting it. That is a silver lining. 14% discount. Brilliant. Now, happy days. I mean, I've done that before. I mean, you know, I've bought cars for 50 quid and I've removed the back seat and found, you know, 6 quid in change and thought, but I'll knock that off the overall price. And, you know, if it's got fuel in the tank, I'll knock that off the overall purchase price as well. Yeah, if you do your own self-justifying accounts, then yeah, you can get a car for free if you're really clever. Yeah, it's an absolute win. And however, once I had a Morris Marina Coupe. I was only like 17, maybe 18 at the time. And it got T-boned at a T-junction, as it happens. Sadly, I was in the wrong. But, you know, it was one of them where the hedges, you couldn't see to pull out because of the hedges. Not the first time a man's been blinded by an overgrown bush. I was turning right, I got T-boned by, as it happens, an Opel Monza. And when one of those hits a Morris Marina, you know who's going to come out on top. So before it went to scrap, I took everything apart. I'll take the back seat up, see if there's any change down there. Took the back seat up, found a kebab that had been there for feck knows how long, but it had an afro of mould on it and looked like it was planning to take over the world. So, yeah, not every delving under the seats in your car or van is a winner. Like I say, I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, though, if you can get penicillin out of mouldy bread, then this kebab could probably cure death. Or cause it. One of the two. Anyway, the Lincoln's got 3 catalytic converters on it, yes. And you'll also find that when you come to weigh them in, they're worth practically bugger all. Ask me how I know. The downside was I had to remove my own double seat with an angle grinder. Oh, yeah, been there, done that as well. Happy days. Do you remember that CF? So she had a Manky Marina. Yeah, it may have been the same. Ask her if she left half a kebab under the back seat. Yeah, do you remember that that Bedford CF sort of minibus type thing I briefly owned? That had loads of single seats in the back, all set at 45 degrees, and a sort of a wide central aisle, presumably for wheelchairs. Like I say, it was an ambulance. Each one of those seats was held in with 4 M4 pins. M4, maybe, no, quarter inch would be 6 mil, wouldn't it? smaller than maybe M4, maybe M5, tiny little pins through that plywood floor. So, yes, well, I suppose they figured they're already in wheelchairs. What's a bit more damage going to do? Sodom. So, yes, there we go. And I've lost my thread. No, it's completely gone. So, yeah. How did we get onto Manky Marinas? Oh, yeah, I was talking about looking down the back of the seat. Yeah. Not advisable. Certainly not if you're an 18-year-old. I found some compromising Polaroids of some gentlemen under the seats of a Lancia. Okay, I'm gone off Lancias. Morris, care to weigh in on this one? Yeah, there's compromising pictures of him everywhere, but he says he doesn't know anybody with a Lancia. Was this a blackmailing opportunity? Did you know the gentleman in question? Trying to think of other interesting things I've found, but nothing as interesting as that. But yeah, I mean, well, at the main event, I think, James was having a look at one of the back doors on his Cortinix. Of course, it's a 4-door, and all the doors still open, except for the passenger side rear door, which was a bit stiff. Sometimes it didn't want to open, and when it did, it didn't want to close properly. Can't say I'm surprised. I mean, he never has, but I can't say I'm surprised because all he's done to that car for the last 20-odd years is kick its head in. So how any of the doors shut, how the windscreen hasn't popped out of that car, I will yet be knowing. But anyway, decided that with a bit of downtime, he was going to adjust the latch and whatnot. And he took the door card off and found a shilling inside the door. Now, I was going to say, it wasn't that long. And it was a proper old shilling. I think it was dated like 1947 or something crazy like that. Yeah, so... now, I was going to say, it wasn't that long between that car coming out in 69 and when did we go decimal? Was that 71 or 73? However, we kept shillings knocking around for ages as 5p pieces, didn't we? This was when a 5p piece was like yay big. And yeah, you could use them. You could make a phone call with one. And I remember when you could make a phone call in a public payphone with tuppence. But that just tells you how old I am. So anyway, yeah, that's the. Hello, Derek. How are you doing, matey? Did you get along to Melbourne in the end? We were talking about you earlier, actually. Talking about you taking part in the Street Eliminator tryouts last weekend. And yeah, it would be cool. Did you get a taste for it? Can we expect to see you running in Street Eliminator numbers anytime soon? It would be cool. Buy a night out and a bag of chips with a shilling. Exactly. Guru Josh. I'm not sure, because every time I ask him a question, I don't get the answer I expected. And I'm not talking about in some deep philosophical way. I'm talking about in a, good God, that's some bizarre, perverted lateral thinking going on. Anyway. Oh, you spent all day. Is this coming in instalments? Or is that just cryptic? So, yeah, while we're at it, side subject. Incidentally, I don't know if you saw that picture I put up on Facebook earlier of the re-drilled wheels. Oh, spent all day rebuilding the TVR again, but still, oh, bloody hell. Here at Melbourne now without the car. Oh, so what's the weather like up at Melbourne? Touch wood, it hasn't actually been belting down here all day. I think we've had about a teaspoonful of rain today. So what's it like up there? So you might be pulling your leg. He may well be. But like I say, his mind does work in mysterious ways. Yeah, the picture of the re-drilled wheels was, like I say, my mate Ben, who breaks Land Rovers, somebody had sold him a Land Rover for breaking, and they wanted to keep the wheels on it because they had expensive new sort of off-road tyres on. And he said, well, how am I supposed to how am I supposed to get a Land Rover with no wheels on the trailer? They said, don't worry, it'll have some more wheels when you get here. So he got there. That's what I gave him. Unfortunately, they're 15-inch wheels with low-profile tyres. So the bloody Land Rover still dragged on the ground, even on the flat, never mind on the trailer. Puddles from earlier rain. I know, it's been bloody miserable this year. What's happening at Melbourne this weekend? It's their August event. Run What You Brung, NSCC are there. The Straight Liners motorbike lot are there. I'm not sure, are they doing any of that bracket stuff? But either way, it's, yeah, just look up Straight Liners events, and that'll tell you what's happening tomorrow and Sunday. In fact, like I said, I don't know. I'm supposed to be going up there on Sunday. I don't know exactly what's happening, but it is a race event anyway. Puddles from earlier rain. Honestly, it's pop up Sunday. I might see you there, Lee. Better luck. It'd be nice. So yes, like I say, with a double bit of luck, if there's somebody staying here to look after the dog, it means that me and the missus can go up in the Blue Meanie. Hurrah! With its nice newish non-lethal tyres, which came off of a Nissan Skyline R32. And he says he bought the car with new tyres on it and immediately took those tyres off and went to taller, fatter tyres. So these tyres are very near new. Certainly a lot nearer new than the raddled and perished old shite that's going to come off. So yes, hopefully I'll be up there Sunday. You never know. Thought everything could go tits between now and then, but we don't know. So, has anybody... Oh, also, Derek, did I read that you are now seriously veering towards LS power? And if so, I don't blame you one bit. And did you sort out the gaskets issue? But there we go. So I take it that's why you're there without your car. So what else is anybody else doing? Anybody else got anything going on that they care to share, that can be shared, that is fit for public consumption? That's why I'm not asking you. Put that thing back in your mouth. Otherwise, I'm probably going to wind this up in a second. So yes, do share. Does anybody fancy a Project 300C? Yeah, never mind. So yeah, that's going to be my next project because I haven't got enough projects on the go at the moment. But yeah, I also figured I ought to get something done because the van's MOT is up in about 2 months, and the smart money is rarely on that thing passing first time, because if for no other reason than it's a 25-year-old LDV. And right at the minute, things are starting to queue up to fail. Replaced head gaskets, breathers still smoking, so suspect rings. LS is getting sorted through H. Ooh. Because I was going to say, I know Mark Todd had a 5.3 LS, and I can't remember if it was a 4L80 or a 4L60 for sale. And it was fairly reasonable money. So yeah, Mark Todd. But if John Sleeth is sorting it, then ooh, crikey, can we expect great things? Oh, you're not already the fastest Chimera in Britain or Europe or the world or something? That should yeah, I think that should put the final nail in a few coffins, shouldn't it? Good to hear it. And is that a winter project? So, there we go anyway. That's pretty much everything so far. So if you have anything else to chip in with, please do so now. Otherwise, yes, I'm going to pack up. MGX Pag would have been an excellent choice for a hot rod engine back in the late 40s to mid 60s. What other power plants would you have used for an early grit rod? 45 to 65. Well, the thing is, all the stock car racers and whatnot just went for flatheads. I suspect because they were cheap, fairly easy to get hold of, and could be tuned up to impressive stuff. And they were relatively tough. I mean, properly old school. And then, by 65, did we have the Daimler V8? I know we had the V8 that came in the SP250 and the Daimler Majestic. And then you had the big version that came in the Majestic Major. Ooh. But the small side, Carol Coulthard. Ah, yes. Yes, I've heard of this. So if anybody happens to have any photos of the much missed Mark Butterworth, who left us fairly recently, after I thought having been thrown a lifeline, yeah, that was a real blow. So anyway, going for 6 litre iron for 1,000 brake horsepower. Ooh, maybe in the Triumph. Oh right, okay. So you're not putting the LS in the TVR. Ah, oh, that's doubly interesting. Oh, in that case, you'll have an iron block 6 litre LS in that Triumph without a power adder. Would probably be putting it into the 11s. And yummy and cool, because that's a car you just don't see enough of. The Triumph 2000. A really, really handsome saloon. I used to have one myself. I don't know if you remember, Derek. Except mine was mangy. Mine was dirt cheap. Mine was so cheap, I think the Bangor racers avoided it because it was too cheap, which was great for me. But it had never been treated to run on unleaded. All the valve seats had burnt out. It had about 10 psi of compression in each pot and ran like a shower of shit, although it would run probably on paint mixed with porridge because the compression was that low. But there we go. So yes, if anybody has, sorry, back to the plot of Mark, yeah, if anybody has any pictures of Mark, do you know what? I don't. Because now we've all gone digital. I mean, when was the last time anybody here took a photo on film? Because now we've all gone digital and we all take 1 million photographs because we don't have to pay for them to be developed. How many do you keep? And basically, every time your phone goes bluey, you lose all your photos a lot of the time. And I've had my desktops gone for a shite, lost all my photos. My laptop went for a shite and lost all my photos. So basically, I've taken millions of photos, literally probably millions. How many have I got? Whatever's on my phone right now. Which doesn't go back very far. So, there we go. So I probably have got some photos of Mark somewhere, but I don't know where. That lovely picture of Mark and Jenny Dale in the back of that pickup truck. That was one of Nancy's. There we go. Anyway, there you go. So, delighted for Derek in going for double power plants. Whatever happened to the SD1? Or is that a sort of a on hold project because you had some major plans for that, didn't you? Anyway, there we go. If anybody else has got anything to say, I think we've just about run out of time to say it. So I'm going to wind this up. If you're up at Melbourne on Sunday, I might well see you there. If you happen to be driving through Staffordshire tomorrow and hear somebody cursing loudly and inventively and throwing things, that's probably me, I apologise. And whatever you're doing this weekend, do it safely, have a lot of fun, and I shall be seeing you, hopefully, Thursday. With good luck, Thursday. Hello, Tony, you've joined in just in time for me to say good night and bye-bye. So, nothing personal, but ta-da. So, yes, whatever you're doing this weekend, be safe, have fun, and with a bit of luck, see you Thursday. Don't forget the Kenny's Bar reunion thing as well. See you all very soon. Good night. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.